Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I'm here profiling life to give you advice if you want to take it. And if you don't want to, you can do that too. But I do hope you get something out of each one of these videos that I do. And if you would like me to answer your questions, do send an email to uh, profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and have Dear Profiler Pat in the subject line and see if I can answer that question that you wish I would. And if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe and check my playlist for the different topics that might apply to you or to someone you know. Okay, today's is Dear Profiler Pat, I get depressed every winter. What do I do? Well, I got this letter. All right, let me read it. Dear Profiler Pat, it is that time of year again. No, not the holiday issue, the winter issue. I hate winter, always have. I get depressed every winter here on the East Coast, and people around me annoy me with their, oh, I like winter, and oh, just enjoy it. Have you got any real suggestions to help me, or am I stuck feeling like this half the year forever? Please keep my name anonymous. Thanks. Sincerely, Pat Brown. Oh, oops. Yes, I am the letter writer because I have this problem every year. Yes, I do. And and I'm sure a lot of you have this as well. I have had this as far as I can remember. If I go all the way back to well, when I was 5 years old, I was living in New Jersey, and there was actual snow outside. In the days when there was more snow, and there was snow outside, and my sisters were outside playing, and I was inside watching a Tarzan movie. And my mother came over and said, "Why don't you go out and play with your sisters?" And I looked at her like she was insane because it was cold out there. And I looked back at that Tarzan movie, and that's where I wanted to be, in the jungle, where in the tropics, where everything was warm and sunny. And I never got away from that. When I did get to 19, I did go to Africa, and I spent a lot of time in warm countries because I like the heat. But I ended up growing up in Virginia, and then when I met my husband, he was from Jamaica, but he lived in DC. And we did go out to California, and my daughter was born out there. But after she was born, both of us felt badly about our parents. My parents were right on in the DC area, and his mom and dad were in DC. So I didn't want the children. He didn't want the children to grow up without grandparents. So we came back to Maryland, and every winter came along, and I felt the same way. I always thought I'm going to get through this one fine. Just stop having a bad attitude, because that's what people tell you. It's your attitude. So don't have a bad attitude. Just look, just face it and keep busy, and you'll be fine. And I get to about maybe Thanksgiving, maybe somewhere close to Christmas, and I start feeling bummed. And especially after the Christmas season is over, then there's the freezing cold of January. And in Maryland, we don't have pretty snow most of the time. It's just 33 degrees, cold, chilly, and rainy. And then there comes February, and then March is crappy. And then people say, well, then April, it's only a few months. April's there. No, April's crappy in Maryland too. We really don't get nice weather till near the end of May. That's my opinion. But then I'm a tropics girl. So I ended up raising my kids in a place where I get stuck every bloody winter. And we didn't have the money to go do fancy trips places in the winter. So I struggled every year with that. And I tried the things that if you have this problem, you're going to hear from other people. You're going to hear, well, you have SAD or SAD, a seasonal affective disorder. And it's something in your brain. I think it's nonsense, personally. I just think some people don't like cold weather. Some people don't like hot weather. No, there's not for some reason, people don't talk about the people who hate hot weather, only the people who hate cold weather. And so they tell you to do things like, I get one of those light boxes. I bought one of those and stuck it over my desk. It was bright. Other than that, I didn't see any difference. And then they tell you need vitamin D, you need to get out and, make sure you go outside. Well, the hell, I don't want to go outside. It's cold out there. It's the reason I don't like winter. I don't want to walk around in the cold weather. Crazy. So every winter, I struggled every winter. And so here I am now. I'm still in Maryland. What the heck? So I did try to leave after my kids grew up. My plan was to move to Hawaii, and so I told my daughter, I'm going to move to Hawaii. Now I'm going to get rid of the house because it's, I'm a single woman now. Your kids are grown. Hey, I don't need a 5-bedroom, 200-year-old house. I'm going to move to Hawaii like I've always wanted to do. And she says to me, but Mom, you can't move. I'm pregnant. You're going to be a grandmother. So I felt bad moving away from my first and only grandchild at the moment. She's now 10. And so we made a deal that I gave the money for the materials, and they built me a 2-bedroom house of specifications right up against their house, which is this way in the picture here. She's right there. So the house is right there. And so I just have to go out the door and up the stairs, and I'm in their house. But I have a 2-bedroom, a separate house of my own. It was a good deal. It really was a good deal. So I've been here for over 10 years now. And I've had a wonderful relationship with my granddaughter because I am next door to her. All 3 of my kids live in my town. My daughter's next door. My 2 sons are in the same town too. People think I'm very lucky because I get to be near my kids. Now, my ex-husband, who never minded the cold, interesting enough, after we divorced, he moved to California with a second wife. And he's been there ever since. And now 20 years later, he's still in California. And he now doesn't want to return to Maryland because he doesn't like the cold anymore. He likes to play golf every day. And so isn't that ironic? So anyway, what do I do? And now I'm at this point where I'm going to go, okay, here comes another winter. How do I handle it? And so I'm going to give you some suggestions. There are suggestions. In my opinion, the number one suggestion is move. If you have a way to move. I mean, if you have nothing holding you in that spot that you're in, downsize and move someplace. Move someplace that's toasty, because you will finally have the weather you want year-round. And it might be worth doing. It really might be worth that. Even if it's quite a distance. My ex said to me, it's kind of funny, he's thinking of when he retires, California gets too expensive. So he's thinking of moving to Vietnam, where his third wife is from. Anyway, but he's like, I think it's too far away. And I'm like, you're already in California. What difference does it make if you're in California or you're in Vietnam as far as coming to visit? I mean, for us, you're just not in the area. The kids are like, the only way you're going to see you is if you get on a plane, regardless of where in the world you're on the plane. We don't really care if you spend an extra 8 hours on the plane. That's not, the kids aren't bothered by that, So why don't you go live where you want to live and just fly back on, fly back. And if you have enough money, be comfortable and get a lay down seat. But if that's what you want, go do that. Don't make yourself miserable by living some places you're going to be unhappy with 6 months out of the year, which is what, for me, it's 6 months out of the year. Now, some people say, well, I can't move out of the country. Well, maybe not, but maybe you could move to slightly warmer areas in this country. My sis moved to the Villages from Minnesota, as many Minnesotans do. She went to the Villages in Florida. She loves it down there. She actually, you ride around in your golf cart all the time. You have tons of activities. It's always, the weather's decent. She's thrilled she left Minnesota. And so some people go to Texas. Some people, there's all kinds of places people pick, Georgia, whatever that might suit, if you can do that. Now, if you can't you say, hey, I got family here. Let me take a stop here a minute, talk about work. If you have work in an area and you can't leave because of work, well, then you can't. There's reasons you might not be able to leave. When I was a medical sign language interpreter, that was my job, and it had to be in the Washington, D.C. area for the kind of work I was doing. I would have much more difficulty going someplace else and getting the deal that I had with the agency I had. As a criminal profiler, when I was doing television, for a while, I could do television in many cities. I used to actually do 2 weeks in Maryland and 2 weeks in Minnesota, go back and forth. And they would, I'd go to the studio here, but I'd uplink out of Minnesota. And then one day they said, we're not uplinking anymore. So I had to live wherever the major studio was. So it had to be DC, Atlanta, New York, LA. So I ended up back full-time in Maryland. So if your job keeps you someplace, then you don't have that choice. Right now, because I do YouTube, I can take my job and take it any place, mostly any place in the world, as long as I have a good connection to the internet. So I can live elsewhere, and I'm looking forward to that. That's one of my plans for the future. I'm going to live where it's warm. Now, do I want to live full time? This is number two. You can be a snowbird. I do love a lot of stuff around Maryland. My obviously my family. So snowbirdness. Go away for the winter. A lot of people do that. They go down to Florida for 3 months or 6 months or whatever amount of months. I have done 1 month snowbirdie stuff. A couple of years ago, I spent 1 month in Puerto Rico. I did my show out of Puerto Rico. If you all who know my Profiling of Pat Brown show, that's what I did. I have spent usually 1 month at a time in India. I've been to India 5 times in the winter because I want to get out of the cold. It was only a month, but at least gave me something to look forward to. It wasn't a total snowbird thing, but at least I was escaping. And I've also spent time in Hawaii for a month, in Mexico. So I've done that. That probably was really number 3. So 1, full-time, you're gone. 2, total snowbird. And 3, as much time as you can get away in a warm area to give you a break from the cold. My hope is next year, I'm trying to go for the 3 months and then try to add every year. I'll try to do 3 months and figure out where I want to live. And then maybe I'll expand it to 4 months, 5 months. Maybe I'll end up doing half a year. And maybe one day I'll live there. But I want to get out of the cold because I want to wake up with the bright sun. I want to wake up and put flip-flops on my feet. I just don't enjoy the cold. I don't enjoy the dark. I like the sun shining in my face every day. That's me. I don't mind rain as long as it's tropical rain. Hawaii, when it rains, you're like, whoo, that feels great. If you're in India and it rains, you run out in your sari and do a Bollywood dance in the rain and get wet because you'll dry off in a minute. In Maryland, when it rains, you crawl into your cave, which is usually your bedroom and your bed. And, this is what it looks like for me. I painted this painting. It's military time on that clock over there on the right. It's really 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And there I am laying in my bed in the cold, dreaming of Hawaii. And I do these art classes. And the woman one of the teachers there, she says, Pat, you look like you're dead. You need some color in you. I said, no, that's the way I feel in the winter. So, and if anybody's like me, that's the way you feel. So if you can get out of the cold, get out of the cold. And there are ways to do it. Sometimes there's a way to do it cheaply. Sometimes it's expensive. So you have to look for those opportunities. India is my cheap place. I can live in India for like $200 or $300 a month. And I can take rickshaw. I can get around town very easily on rickshaws. I can hire a driver for the day if I want to go someplace. It costs me $20 to $30 for an entire 12 hours have a driver take me everywhere I want to go. So that's a cheap place to live for me. I could probably live a whole winter for, I don't know, $1,000, 3 months, $1,000, maybe $1,500. Depends how you like living, but I could probably do that. Going to Hawaii would be a little bit tougher. I had the bus system is really good in Hawaii. I think it's like $70 a month for seniors, and you can walk so many places. And you could just take an Uber once in a while. I wouldn't need a car there. Just the staying someplace is more expensive, so that's the problem. So there's all kinds of options, but you have to really search for them. So again, 1, 2, and 3: live someplace else full time, live someplace else as a snowbird, and then at least get out in the winter to give yourself some hope. When it's starting to get dark, you go, but at least next month I'll be in wherever, for a month, and I'll have the sun. Give you something to look forward to. It's hard to come back, mind you. I remember one time I was coming back from Hawaii, and I actually couldn't remember what it was like to be cold because it was so beautiful every day and so sunny and lovely. I was like, I can't remember what it's like. And I guess it's not really that bad. And I thought that about until the time that I landed in Minneapolis and the doors opened and I had to step out, and I was like, oh my God, this is just unbelievably bad. It was like, This is what it's like. Okay, those are the getting away. Okay, now you're sitting there going, I can't get away for whatever reason. It's got work, I got family, I don't have the money. How do I survive? Well, as I pointed out, I personally don't think taking melatonin or vitamin D or sitting in front of a light really freaking makes any difference. So I think that's all mostly nonsense. What do you do? Well, the first thing is I think you have to accept that you don't like winter. And don't let those other people who say, "Oh, what's wrong with you? Well, you should just, you just have an attitude problem." No, sometimes people just really don't like winter. It's like I'm a night person, not a morning person, and for a lot of my life, my problem was waking up for school was torture because I never was really awake till 10 or 11 in the morning. And I hated every minute of getting up for school. When I finally went to college, I took college classes in the afternoon. Jobs. I'm not a 9 to 5 person because I'd have to get up early in the morning. Now, mind you, I can work. You can call me at 1 in the morning and ask me to go to when I was an interpreter. They'd call me at 1 in the morning. I'd drive to the hospital and work all night, and sometimes work the whole next day. And I could work a ridiculous amount of hours as long as I didn't have to do a 9 to 5 job and get up every morning early. I felt horrible and I hated it. People called me lazy. My parents called me lazy because they didn't understand. For them, they were up bright and early and they were ready to go. And then they said, "Oh, you lazy slob." I wasn't a lazy slob. I was just one of those 10% of the population back in the old if you look back at the caveman days, I mean, most people had to get up and hunt for food and search for, look for animals to kill, and so that everybody could eat. And there was a small group that had to tend the fire at night while everybody slept to keep everybody else from getting killed. That would be me. I could do security at night. So my jobs have never been 9 to 5. And it worked out well for me because I was always on call at the hospitals as an interpreter. Did most of my work through the nights because that's when they really needed somebody who go in and work all night. Television was never, well, sometimes I had to do an early morning thing, but it varied so much. It wasn't a 9 to 5er. So I did things in the morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes late evening. Sometimes I did stuff for Sky News that I had to be there at 3 in the morning because it was 8 in the morning in the UK. And now, of course, doing YouTube, I can sleep until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock every day, and I do. So I can control the time thing now, but I can't control the seasons. So what do you do if you're at that point where you're like, okay, I'm stuck? Dear everybody else, please send me an answer. It's very hard for me to come up with one, and this is probably one of the few things I really don't have great advice on. But except for get out of the cold weather, I do have some advice. I have learned a few things. One, definitely dress warmly. As much as I freaking hate putting on the warm clothes, going out in a really, really warm coat and a warm hat and warm gloves and warm boots, at least you can walk to your car and not be miserable. And that does help tremendously. So I absolutely suggest that. So I, sorry, losing my voice. Hold on. I just went and sang we did a winter concert for the chorale did, and we had to sing very loudly. I think I've lost my voice. That's why I'm dressed in this white. I had a little red scarf around my neck for the Christmas stuff. Anyway, dress warmly in your house. Keep your heat up. Don't be cheap and be freezing in your butt off in the house, because if you don't like cold, that's going to make you unhappy. So I keep my heat relatively warm in the house. I also have one of those. I have 2 electric fireplaces. The one where you punch on and the fire comes up. They used to look really hokey, but now they look pretty good. I can sit in front of that fire, the fake fire, and get mesmerized by it. And I'm watching it going, "Oh, this is stupid. The thing's not even real," but it's good. And when I used to have a cat that sat in my lap, it was quite nice. It had at least coziness, and you could click on the thing and make heat come out of it if you want it or not. And so I have one in the living room and one in my bedroom. I have a big heavy quilt that goes over me in my bed so I can be snuggly. So So I try to keep as warm as I can in the house. Um, Keeping busy. Yeah, that does help. And you really want to keep as freaking busy as you can, because this picture of me, if I don't have something to do that day, if I don't have an art class to go to, a Spanish class to go to, a YouTube show, I will lay in that damn bed. And because I, I'm a real good dreamer. I'm one of those people that dreams a lot. Like I close my eyes, I'm a dreaming. I would rather dream than get up, because there's nothing that I want to get up for. During COVID, I slept a crap load because I'm a very big dreamer and a lucid dreamer. So I'm like, I wake up, oh heck with this. I'm going to go back and have fun with the people that I go back into my dream, and I be around people sometimes in warm places. And so I didn't have to wear the winter coat, and I was having fun, and I was outside in my dreams. But you really don't want to while away your entire winter dreaming, because you won't get out of bed, because you got nothing to look forward to. So you definitely want to pack in as much crap as you can that'll get you to get out of your house, put on those warm freaking clothes, and get out and do stuff with other human beings. And my art classes are 3-hour long classes. I take 2 a week, and this helps me through the winter, because I go there and I walk in, there's happy people, and I get to do my pastel paintings, and we joke and laugh, and at least I have someplace to go. Pickleball, that works in our area. They do have a lot of pickleball inside, so one can go to a gym and play pickleball. I play table tennis. The biggest problem with that is they want you to come in the evening, and then you got to drive in the dark for like 30 minutes either way. And that I don't enjoy. If it's freezing cold and wet and miserable and scary, like slippery, I tend not to want to do it. But if it's a decent enough day, I'll go. I joined the chorus, so that I sing at the chorus once a week. We do that. I do Spanish classes. I find anything I can do to get out of the house. Now, if you have a lot of friends that you do things with, that's cool. If you have family you can constantly get together with, that's good. Whatever you can do, just try to be around people. Try to do something as much as you can, because I swear it's the only way I can crawl through the winter. I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, there's not a lot when you don't like winter. I mean, you can curl up in your bed, you can watch all the movies and all the series, and you can spend your time just doing that. I like jigsaw puzzles. I can do that. Crossword puzzles. I do work. I work. So thank God for the fact I still work. And that does take up more than 40 hours a week of my work with YouTube, and also with other, some documentary work, and also I'm an author. So I'm working on some books. I got a lot of things I can work on. But so I got things to do, but when you're stuck in the house doing them I'm looking out the window, it's dark, it's cold. It still makes me unhappy. At least it gets me through the winter, but it doesn't make me thrilled. So Pat Brown, thank you for your letter. So those are my recommendations, Pat Brown. Do your best to get out if you can. Move away. Move to warm climates. Do snowbird stuff. At least get away for part of the winter to warm places. And if you can't do any of that, keep as busy as you can, so that at least you're not laying in bed all day long. so those are my thoughts. And if you have some great ideas, mind you, if you're people who like the winter and you think it's just perfectly fine, don't leave comments below, because that's one of the most annoying things. When people tell you, oh, it's great, just do this, just do that, and you want to punch them in the face, because they like that. If you like something, it's very hard to tell other people who don't like it to like it. I don't know how many people have told me how I should be able to get up early in the morning. I have tried every trick in the book to wake up earlier. It has always brought me misery. It's never worked. I don't sleep well before 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 to 10 is my time to sleep. And so all these ideas, sleep people's ideas, and All the people who are just little Energizer bunnies at 6 in the morning, I wish I were you. I'm not. So I have, instead of trying to make myself something I'm not, I needed to find a way to be a successful non-morning person. And that I fortunately was able to do. So I've had a great life raising my children. I homeschooled my kids, so I didn't have to get up and put them on a school bus. And then I became a medical sign language interpreter and profiler. All these things I've done didn't require me to get up early in the morning. Winter I've had a harder time with because I can control what time of the day I can do things better than I can control the seasons and the weather. But if you are a person who loves winter, your suggestions probably will not work for people who don't love the winter. But if you are a person who is struggling with the winter, if you found any way to help another person who's struggling with the winter, and any of you out there, this time I will say I welcome everybody's advice for sure. So I want to do this day because I've been feeling this way for a couple of days now. I was like, oh, got to Thanksgiving and now it's dark and dreary and rainy. And it goes to show, we all struggle with life situations. So a lot of the Dear Profiler stuff that I do, I may be giving advice to other people, but it's not that I haven't needed that advice for myself. So because we all have a lot of similar things going on, and we need to figure out how we can deal with them. So anyway, those are my thoughts. If you put yours below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe, and send me your Dear Profiler Pat questions, and I will see you next time for something I did. Somebody will write a letter to me that's not me. Catch you later. Bye.